Recording is on.
Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone developing with Eternity. Hello Stoyan and everyone else. This is the 37th week of 2019. Next week we won't have a developers update call as there is the Eternity Universe conference in Prague. And we'll just go through everyone who is participating today and give our short or long based on what happened in the past week. Update also, if you have seen, I've made a post from last week with some links to written updates, and I also recorded myself just to wrap it up as the audio recording failed last week. If you want to add some links, please do those written updates and post them in the forum. So people can follow up on this, and I will also collect the written updates and put them again in a forum post so it's easier to find. So Stoyan, please start with your update.
Sure. So we have currently 3 high-level priorities. One is to support the state channel payment app so that it can be functional for the Eternity conference. We're making sure the SDK is up to date in the base app to do that, and also previously we made sure the scanning QR code works in the base app. The second priority is to make sure that we can release again on iOS App Store. We have been rejected a couple of times because they don't like crypto browsers. For some reason, they are hassling us, but letting other browsers like Coinbase Wallet and Toshi go. We can't really give them the argument of saying, well, what about these guys? Because I already tried and they don't respond to that kind of mentality. So our solution as a temporary solution is to disable the browser in iOS App Store so that we could release important updates to the base app, meaning upgrade the SDK and make sure that send and receive work, and the naming system also works. And then after we have released that, or not after, but simultaneously with disabling the browser, we're going to implement deep linking so that apps can interact with the base app wallet through deep links instead of being open in the base app. And then after that's released, we have a decision to make on whether we'll rebuild the browser inside iOS to reintroduce it again later and hope that we don't get rejected with a different build, or just rely simply on deep linking. But the first priority, the priority now is to just get another public release in iOS, because if we keep getting rejected, eventually the app will break because we won't be compatible with the SDK, or there'll be some other breaking change that will be introduced. And the third high-level priority is we're working on the naming system bidding interface. So we want to have a test version implemented relatively soon, in the next 2-3 weeks. We're relying on the middleware to query the bids, and the middleware is relying obviously on the protocol to have bids. So there's some dependencies there, and also in the SDK. But we're hoping we will have some kind of proof of concept in the next maybe 2 weeks. And then we could hopefully show it to people so that people can test this auction UI and get some feedback before the hard fork. And the remaining stuff that we're working on is like bug fixes and small stuff that I don't need to bother you with. This is the important stuff.
Cool, great. Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Oh, now Nikita jumped in. So yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, great.
Quick update.
Okay, I'll do it quick as long as I have a phone signal here. I'm on the way to the hackathon in Prague. we got something nice in our bag. Finally, with coordinated work with Hans and Ulf, we were able to introduce error highlighting to the file editor right on point for the hackathon. So yeah, working with Sophia code will be easier and less frustrating than it was in Antalya the last time when we were counting line numbers, basically trying to spot the error. Now you've got a visual indicator for where you did the mistake, basically. And yeah, lots of other tiny bug stuff here and there. That's essentially from me for now. Yeah, and 1,000 of updates of the SDK, of course, in the file editor. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Nikita. Worked well. We could understand you very good. So looking forward to the hackathon. I will also participate and see you later in Prague. And I would like to stay with the wallets. So Andy from the AirGap team, I guess you also have put thoughts about not only sending transactions, but maybe also signing one or another message with AirGap. Maybe you can say a few words to that one, but basically we just want to hear what's going on your side and get a little update.
Yeah, so we have finally, after Stoyan asked us more than a month ago, we were able to fix one of the deep link issues. We now sent them over a test version that hopefully works, and then we can release it. We also continue to work on the security pen test result issues. This will hopefully also be released in a couple of weeks because there are some deeper changes we have to do there that takes a little bit of time. Then we have been working on a new serializer version. Without going too much into detail in the AEXs that are open, the expansions, we have now come up with a very nice solution that works well with the AEXs that are already open, something that has been discussed in the other developer call. So yeah, and also message signing with the new serializer version, we also will support message signing on the Vault. And yeah, that will all be released with a huge Vault update once the security stuff is in there.
Do you have examples and documentation? It's in the CoinLib library, right? And there's a hosted, I don't know, Gitbook documentation or similar to it.
Yes, we have documentation of our library. It's also linked in the documentation hub in Eternity.
Perfect.
Repository. The serializer is still very much work in progress. It has changed a little bit during the discussion that we had while we were in Berlin and meeting the team. So there are some changes there that still have to be updated also in the AEX. But once we have a stable release, hopefully next week, of the setup, we will update all the documentation and also again get feedback from everyone else.
Cool, great, yeah. Thanks a lot. Less a problem with getting rejected, or actually, Milan, you also have problems with getting in the browser extension stores, or however we call them. So this is quite a battle, and it might get harder in the future when we do stuff that then we have problems to actually ship to users, as some centralized services like those app stores just restricted. But nevertheless, there's also still a lot of things possible, and we're doing it. So Milan, please give us also your update about the browser extension wallet.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, as you said, we are facing almost every time issues with the deployment in Chrome Store. But anyways, this week there is not much visual improvements that we can show, but what we did was working on the Oracle tip issue from the last week, where we were unable to verify domain names passed with the HTTPS prefix or www.something prefix, because there is no substring operations in Sophia. So we figured a workaround method with bitwise shifting, and we started implementing this, but it requires to tweak a bit the mechanic of the tips. So we are working on new contracts for the tipping mechanism of the wallet. We also discussed with Stoyan the issue with the Eternity naming system auctions that will be supported in Lima, and we started also working on proof of concept on how to implement this. We talked with Stoyan and the base app, and we'll be working closely with the middleware to figure out how to do this as quickly as possible and as with less resources required. As always, we did some code cleanup and refactoring and documentation. Also, from the crowdfunding campaign, we've received quite a lot of feedback regarding the UI and regarding how users expect the extension to behave. So we are also fixing some of the issues that came up from there. Aside from that, I personally also did some other things, fixing Sophia examples for the hackathon tomorrow. So I did fixed all of the smart contract examples in the Eternity Ape Sophia examples repo.
Really nice.
All of the Sophia code is up to date with the most recent compiler and code styling. It's compiling. All of the tests are working, at least for testing yesterday. Let's hope something doesn't break till tomorrow. And I did some reviews on the token migration that is being prepared. And probably that's it from my side for this week.
Thanks a lot, Milan. And it's
Thank you.
also cool. I mean, we're really doing this also for the community, also stuff like this, bidding on names or so, because it doesn't help anyone if it's just in the API, but nobody can really use it. I think also with the non-transferable token migration that you just mentioned, I mean, I must say that after they got non-transferable on September 2nd last week, there are now more than 90% of all tokens are safely already basically on Lima with the hard fork, and with your work, your team's work, Martin, and of course there will also be some stuff in the protocol that needs to happen. There will be like 99.9% of all Eternity Ethereum ERC20 token after Lima, after the Lima hard upgrade, accessible on Lima, and I think this is a great success because it's one of the promises that we keep. But please, I know that there are also many issues, so Martin, please give us an insight about the hard work you have done the past week.
Okay, so the past week we were mainly working on developing the smart contract, and that we are sure that there are no security issues there. The colleagues from the core team helped us a lot from this. So the smart contract is almost ready. We had yesterday we had some issues with signing the easy recover, because we have to concatenate the Ethereum signed message string, and there was some escaping issues there, but the core team has managed to fix that quite fast. They have released new version of the compiler. Also, and the note, currently we are in the testing phase, but we are facing some issues while deploying and interacting with the smart contract with the latest node version and the SDK version. The JavaScript SDK team is aware of the issue, and we are all working on fixing that. So yeah, basically this is from our side this week. Some of the members are also preparing for the conference in Prague and the workshops there. So yeah, we are expecting that next week, I think first 1 or 2 days next week, we are trying as fast as possible to have the smart contract. We want everyone who to be able to audit it and review it. So we have to be sure that there are no mistakes here.
Great, thanks a lot for that, Martin. Maybe we can even go over the current version during the hackathon. I think it's also a nice thing to just try to understand what's happening there and having those examples and challenges in front of us. I also see Sergey here. I think, Sergey, you could give us a general update about what was happening on protocol, and afterwards and Tino and Ulf can add some sentences about the current state channel development.
Yes, so hi everyone. So basically the good news, our protocol is almost feature ready for the Lima release. Almost is like mostly a formality. So basically 3 things are left is to set the height for the hard fork on the testnet, then on the mainnet, and embed the smart contract for the migration of frozen tokens, which Martin was just talking about. But I think yes, basically this is it. And so most of the team is right now preparing for the conference since Fate is feature complete, naming services are feature complete. We're doing some testing in parallel. So if we find something, we always have spare people now to jump in on fix stuff. And also, with the exception of the stage channel team, which is very, very busy preparing a backend for the demo app. So maybe as some of you know, on the conference, which is coming next week, you want to have a test run with an app which allows to make payments within state channels. The app is mostly ready, the state channels is mostly ready, but there are still some fix and improvements for the stability of the app are still being developed. But I think Ulf and Tino can tell more about this. But yeah, the bottom line, we have received release candidate 2 yesterday. Once the smart contract is ready and tested, we can embed it. We will create RC3 probably next week. And then we'll schedule the hard forks, which theoretically could happen next week, at least at the testnet. But since it's a conference, we're not such a good idea to do this. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Sergey. And I mean, people who maybe not that technical, I think also need to understand that there are hard forks or hard upgrades and soft upgrades. And especially what you were mentioning are also like little improvements, let's be it on the APIs or the way state channels work that are not consensus breaking, but helping with UX or developer experience or like just making stuff easier and better. And this is also like, I think, really nice that we have these continuous upgrades and also releases from the node where people then can experience already the improved version. So maybe Tino, you can tell us about like what has been bothering you and the state channel team over the past week.
Sure. I actually wanted to give Ulf the honor, but he seemed to have dropped out again.
Oh, there he is. Let us see. Let us see. Wait. Ulf, are you here? That doesn't seem to work on that side.
Yeah, probably not. Okay, anyway, so as Sergey mentioned, RC2 has been released, and we managed to get 2 major state channel features landed before that as well, which are included. One is the pinned environment for off-chain updates feature, and the other one is a state cache encryption within state channels, which have been both quite for some time in development and have been quite big. So it's great to see those having merged into RC2. And the third big chunk of work is supporting the demo app development. We've done strides in terms of improving the reliability of the FSM in the state channel. And still doing so, we have one big PR, which is almost ready by Ulf, which we hope to merge until Monday. And then from there, the stability should be good enough for the demo app, depending on what the guys from Buenos Aires, from Coin Fabric, come up with as feedback. So there's no explicit issue which we are aware of right now, which is a blocker. So that's good.
Thanks a lot, Tino. And I think, I mean, like you said it, in Buenos Aires, so we are not sitting in the same office. And this, of course, also produces lots of problems all the time. And often it would be super easy to just walk over and say, hey, show me your source code or show me what you're doing. And I think it's very, very important to mention this all the time, that like we are literally sitting everywhere, like across the globe, and working together is not easy. And of course, we also do mistakes here. And I think we also threw David and his team like quite into cold waters and just like gave them a basic idea what we want to have. and they were fighting hard and produced something. So David, maybe give us a little info about where you are right now and what you believe will be up and running next week on the conference, because we're all excited to see that.
Hi everyone, hi Emin. Well, this last week we made some major changes, like switching to version 5 of the node, which improved our reliability on state channel connections and reconnections. We that was a major decision because our tests were made with version 4, but I think that all the best improvement was made for version 5, so it was the logical decision. Someone already told us to best not switch to RC2. I don't know, maybe it will be good, but we try to go with the most tested version we have, that is the RC1, and we still have some problem on reconnection, but we are trying to have the app ready, and we are working to make the demo that everyone can use, and trying to finish every detail we have. It was a lot of work. Hernan is mostly focused on the app things, and I'm doing the fixes on the server side and all the node setup and deployment. We expect today to switch to Dincho's setup. But anyway, you can test the one we have already up. We really think that it will be possible we get to the conference with one application to show and use, but there are always some unexpected things. I think that's it. I want to thank you, everyone. I think that we bother all the teams this week. I really appreciate the effort you put in it. So thank you.
I also thank you a lot, David. And I know how hard it is, and it's also a proof to us how much we have to improve in making it easy for developers to build such applications. So I really hope we make it, and that you get the help you need. And yeah, really looking forward also to see you in Prague, because I know you're also coming and traveling there. So really nice, really cool. Next person here in this group is John. You have been like away for so long. No, you haven't been away so long, but we were missing you. So please give us your update on your side.
Cool. So this update comes from the SDK teams and from my team, and I think essentially everything I'm going to say has already been mentioned. The SDK teams have been preparing for a conference, supporting RC2, and preparing for the hackathon. Apart from that, there's just been some polishing of the SDKs and some documentation improvements. And on the middleware side, I've been concentrating on figuring out how to support the naming system stuff. The good news is that all of the queries are fast enough without any extra work, so it will be very fast. And the bad news is that there's currently nothing on the chain to report upon, so the results are kind of short. And the other thing that's been this week's focus is just improving verification of the data in the database to ensure that it's always correct.
Great. To the point. Thank you very much. One person I'm in constant touch with over the last week is Peter, who is still on solving little issues, not really technical issues, but like basically design issues that need to be coordinated together with this external company he's doing his work for, which is the General Bytes ATM machines. I know that the functionality is basically there and ready to go, but there are still requested changes that you constantly do. So please give us a few words and an update on that too.
Hi, Emin. Hi, everyone. So this last week we began the merging process into the master branch of the General Byte software. It was it is not was it is really hard process, as in the beginning there were a lot of change files and the merge seemed impossible. I think that this happened because of the two reasons. I may because the first reason, which was when I had struggles with Java SDK library, I may modified some unnecessary files. And the other thing I think that was responsible also for this mess was that a lot of time has passed since I forked the master branch, and there were also new changes there that I didn't have then. So in order to make this easier, I created new fork from this week and moved the eternity specific changes into the new fork. So this way we began the actual merge. And at the moment we have two key, let's call it problems, which we want to discuss and get passed on. One of them is a dependency conflict. It's a library that is used by the Java SDK app, but the people from General Bytes claim that this library will mess up all their whole functionality. That library is a Bitcoin library, which is used for cryptographic operations regarding generating key pairs. And the other key issue is functionality related with saving and loading wallets mnemonics on the file system. I made such thing when you initialize new wallet that it will save its mnemonics to the file systems, which could be moved to some kind of other storage. But I made it this way for testing purposes, just to check out everything is else. And the people from General Bytes doesn't want this functionality, but I made it because there's a logic in the payment provider. When it generates a transaction, in the current logic, it just gives inputs from where it would be generated and sent the coins. And in current Bitcoin wallets and all of its clones, this is done easily with RPC calls because the Bitcoin wallet node has access to the wallet storage, and when you try to sign the transaction, it's easy for the node to retrieve the private key from the storage and sign the transaction. But in Eternity blockchain, it's a little bit different, a little bit more similar to Ethereum, where you have to separately sign the transaction and only broadcast the signed transaction through the node. That's why I made such functionality. When you define public address input for generating transaction, the payment provider goes to the file systems, tries to load the mnemonics, and from there to load the private key to actually sign the transaction and broadcast it. And now we're waiting response from General Bytes to see how the changes will go on from this point. I really hope that we would be ready by the end of this week, but things seems a little bit impossible to finish by the end of this week. I'm waiting to see what they see. I'm prepared to make modifications at any point. Even in the weekend, I'll be standby. If there's a response from them, I'll get back to the project and make all the necessary modifications just to be ready for the conference.
Thanks a lot, Peter. Big respect. Looking at in so many new things, as I don't know, many others here, like you just jumped onto the project, had to understand what we have been building in our APIs and our SDKs. You even used the community build SDK, so nothing that was actually coordinated by anyone close to the project, but more a fan that started working on that. Contributed to this too. Now you're fighting with General Bytes.
Yeah,
Like,
I also want to talk to Andre and Dincho also. I forgot to mention they helped me a lot, so I can bring up my local Eternity node and middleware upon it. They saved me a lot of days and time by by giving me the more recent dumps of the databases of the both node and middleware. So
Nice.
thanks a lot to them for saving me a lot of time and trouble.
Cool. I really hope you can figure this out and you find some pragmatic solutions and agreements. Kind of, these are like human consensus is also needed here, and not only technical solutions. So I really hope you can get this done. I'm also in the CC with the email communication, and yeah. So yeah, I really hope you make it. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
So I also see Keno. He built like most of the working front ends for apps for Eternity. So the graffiti app, which worked fantastically last week at Ars Electronica, but now also the governance app, and for sure the new stuff will come. And I see you here. We don't see you often. So Keno, please tell us a little bit about your work.
Yeah. Hey to the devs as well. So I'm going to give an update today about the graffiti, the governance, and an upcoming project that we are building for the hackathon. So for the graffiti app, yeah, it worked fine from our side on Ars Technica. We got some user feedback that we want to implement. So we will probably make some adjustments to the settings of the app, but nothing really too technical, and we will probably show it off at AE Universe again, I guess. So you can see an updated version, and if you haven't done it, put some stuff on mainnet, put some art there. For the governance app, we are basically done. We are still in the final phases of iterating on the design. So there's still some updates coming. We finished the verification script, so you can actually verify the poll results without using our backend or the middleware. This is done so people can easily verify it on their own, and it's easier to verify one script than a whole app. But we will have some code reviews for the verification script. So that's our task for next week. And yeah, for the governance app, we did some UX improvements. But in whole, the app should be basically done. And for last, what we are building now for the hackathon as well is a boilerplate. So people can actually run their own apps, and we provide a basic integration with the base app and other wallet providers. And it should be just a repo that everyone can clone and immediately start hacking without thinking too much about how am I going to integrate the base app, how will I do the build process of my app. We have something like this already existing with an example app and the SDK, but from our experience, we had quite some hassle setting it up, so we are building a boilerplate now, and we will probably update it again after the hard fork to make it compatible again to the new SDK and Node versions. But yeah, so the focus of the boilerplate right now is just to get it working for the hackathon so people can start working with it. Yeah.
Great, Keno. Thank you very much for that update and this valuable work. I will definitely try as much as I can try during the weekend. Also, before I close this here, I know we are testing on testnet, we are testing on local networks, and so on and so on. But if anybody here needs a few tokens for mainnet testing, yeah, please also just reach out to me, send me a message on dev chat. It's for you, David, like with the payments app, or also for you, Peter, you know that already. So whenever you need a few tokens, please just reach out to me, send me your AE address so I can send you over some AEs for mainnet testing too. So that's from my side. I'm really looking forward to see all of you in Prague, and we will not only talk tech but also drink beer. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to see you, and thanks for participating. Have a good weekend. Maybe see you already tonight or tomorrow, whenever you arrive in Prague. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.